Hey guys, it's Trisha from Mom Dot. I really wanted to come today. I wanted to start doing a little more live crafting to kind of alleviate some of your parental fears about doing crafts with your kids. I apologize for the echo in here. This is kind of the playroom because it has a floor that I can clean. There's no carpet in here, perfect for crafting. And I need to get a rug in here for occasionally when I do a video, it's not so echoey, so I apologize for that. One of the things I want to do today with you is teach you how to make slime. On my site, I have a ton of slime, and parents message me constantly, and they're like, I didn't get this consistency right. What can I do to make it perfect? And I really kind of wanted to walk you through some of that because yes, it can be very, very difficult to make if you don't know what you're doing. But I want to show you that it's not your fault and how to correct massive slime mistakes. So there are two things that you use and that I recommend personally when you're gonna make slime. You're gonna see recipes all over the internet for borax, starch, edible slimes, all of that. Personally, I do not do edible slimes in my house. I believe that once you introduce something that's edible to children, that you can put yourself at a risk for things that are not edible. So if I make an edible slime and then they happen to think all of it is edible, they could potentially get sick. You have to look at slime as a science project. It utilizes things in your home to create a scientific, I don't even know what the word is, a scientific reaction to make this intended result, which for us would be slime. That means these are things that are utilized in crafts and you're not supposed to put them in your mouth. That's going to come with the starch and the borax and the different. Now, some bloggers will use Metamucil and those kinds of things to kind of, I think the word would be like coagulate. That could be the wrong word, but that's what they use to solidify the glue, which makes the slime, right? So whatever you use, personally, just ditch the whole edible thing right out the window. So there are two things that I recommend. First of all, I like slime that deals with starch, not borax. Why? Because all the borax that I find is in powder form and you have to liquidize that and it becomes a really difficult consistency problem right off the bat. I do make it that way because it can be very pretty when we're doing a demonstration. But let me also tell you that what you see on a blog, including mine, is a final product. We were able to go through all these steps to make the perfect shot at the very end. So when you're making it at home and you're like, man, Trisha, mine isn't, it's messy or it's whatever, this is how you can correct that. So first thing is starch. I get this at Dollar Tree. You can get it on Amazon. It can be kind of difficult to find. Second of all, I get glue in this huge container. You know, slime does not go a long way in those little 4 ounces, and you can end up purchasing like 15 bottles of glue. This is 10 bucks on Amazon, and anyway, I'll put up the links at the end of it. Go this route. So before I get started, because I know how messy this is going to be, I'm gonna go ahead and pour about a cup's worth of starch into here. That way I have extra no matter what I'm doing. Second of all, oh, I had some glitter here. I have, for coloring purposes, red because it's gonna be Valentine's Day, so we're gonna go with that. And I have my glue. Oh, I'm gonna actually go ahead and pour, and I'm not gonna measure because this is one of those situations where you don't know how much you're gonna end up with, so it's about the scientific reaction that's gonna come together, and then you're gonna have to work out the middle of it in between. So I'm gonna pour about, I don't know, let's say a half a red Solo cup here. And I'm gonna use my hands. I'm not gonna use any utensils. I'm a big kid. I don't lick my hands afterwards, so I'm not gonna worry about putting soap on my hands. I'm sure there are worse things at McDonald's, which I eat occasionally. So I am going to do this kind of out of whack that you would see on a lot of blog sites, but I'm gonna go ahead and add a bunch of red food coloring because white slime is no fun. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and just pour an indeterminate amount. I'd say that's about 1/4 a cup of borax, and I mean starch. And I wanna show you what's gonna happen at this point. It is going to be a huge mess. What is going on inside of this cup right now is, besides me ruining my shirt, is this cup, this starch is going to start solidifying the glue into a goop. But how do you go from this goop into something that you can use? Well, that's about trying to figure out the right consistency. I'm gonna be honest with you. So right now, I've still got a lot of liquid in here. I'm not gonna wanna pour this out too much because I'm gonna pour this out eventually and show you how we get to the final product. I'm gonna go ahead and add, and this is messy, a little more glue. Now you see why we use the big one. Okay. Okay, so we're starting to get, and I'm gonna go ahead and pour it out so I can kind of show you live what's going on here. I hope you can see this huge mess. Okay, so right now I have this, you would not want to give this to your kids. Now, here's the thing about crafting. Crafting is supposed to be super fun, people. Super fun. Like, it's okay to be messy. You just have to plan the mess. I really believe that if you plan the mess, you'll have less of a headache. You do this kind of project on a floor that can handle it outside. And now you can see some of this glue is really starting to be a goopy mess. This is stage 1 of slime. Stage 1 is where parents go, what did I just get myself into? How come it doesn't look like your website? This is stage 1, okay? So what this tells me right now is I just don't really have enough starch. It's not sticking together. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some more starch. And I'm starting to see it come together a little more. And I'm using, by the way, a vinyl that is on here. I'm not doing this on my table. I can rinse this vinyl off. Now we're starting to see some of this is starting to form up a little bit. You can see it's still sticking to my hands pretty good, but we're getting there. And I'm starting to get it off the vinyl, so we're going in the right direction. Okay, we're getting there, we're getting there. So for me, this is still a nightmare. My son hates things stuck to his hand. That boy can play out in the dirt pile all day long, but if you give him this, he will die, okay? My daughter, she will play with this all day, but my son, no. So I want to make something that he can play without being totally grossed out, and you can start to see that this is starting to really solidify. I'm going to go ahead and add a little more starch in there because I'm not happy with the direction it is, and let's just move on to getting there. Okay. And as you get, you'll know that the slime is starting to get really good when you can peel it off your hands. If it's sticking to your hands too much, you need more starch. Okay, so, by the way, you can do this all in a solo cup without ever having to touch it, but what's the point of a demonstration if I don't actually show you what's going on in all of this process? I know a lot of people like to do this at birthday parties, and if you are a brave, brave person, but what I would say is if you're gonna give slime to kids at a birthday party, that you pre-make it and maybe just let them dye it at the end or add glitter, because this is maybe not a mess that you wanna clean up. So now you can see it's starting, my hand's starting to get clean, right? At this point, a lot of this is up to you, and I could circulate all of this into here and make more slime. But at this point, the consistency is going to be what you feel comfortable with. So it's still a little sticky, but it's starting to do, it's pretty awesome now. So I made some slimes earlier, and I'm gonna ball this up and set it off to the side real quick and kind of show you. This is one that I made before I got on here. And it is, you know, it's not really sticking to my hand at all. It's doing everything that it's supposed to. It's quite a beautiful slime. It goes into a ball. Hey, that one's awesome. So this would be a ton of fun at a birthday party. Just maybe not this part. And then I had another one that I did. And you can, you know, you can roll it, play with it. So slime is fun, but that is how you go from that step to this step. You may be doing it right, but you may just not be hanging out to the very end of adding additional starch. So again, I stay away from borax because it's in powder form. You have to liquidize it. That adds an extra liquid to your slime, which makes the consistency even more difficult to get to. So this is how I make this beautiful slime, and here's the one that we just made here. So the more you play with it, the less sticky it's going to be. I still feel like the one we just made could have a little bit more starch to it. So let me go ahead and just get some from the... I hope that helps some of you. I'm gonna add this video to my blog post So those of you that are doing this project, do not get afraid. This may not be something that I want my kids involved in, but the end product, absolutely. It is so much fun. Do not be afraid of slime. Do not be afraid of making a mistake and just getting there. It's like cooking, okay? So sometimes you don't get it right off the bat, keep moving. If you happen to over-starch your slime, it will turn into a rock. Correcting it backwards is a little more difficult, but what you would do is add more glue and keep mixing to get that glue back in there and get that stretch back. So again, too much starch, hard as a rock. Too little starch, super goopy. This one. And then your final product, you really want it to be, one of these. I'm going to put all this information where you can pick up these items for super cheap on Amazon. That way, if you want to do this project with your kids or at a party, that you can do that. So thank you for tuning in. I'll be back next week with another craft so you can see how these things are done and not be afraid of them. And if you have any questions, put them below and I will check and answer them when I publish.